Hello, this is Daniel Mart, and today I'm going to be doing another video. This one's going to be a bit of a different video. I know normally on this channel you guys are used to watching monologues or interviews or some other random video I decide to put up. I mean, mostly it's been monologues for the most part, with a few interviews every here and there, 2 short films, more like videos or whatever, of me and my friends doing stuff, and a few showcases that I've done, like theater showcases, and 2 videos of me doing stuff backstage. Okay, but yeah, this is gonna be a different video, and I wouldn't say I want to turn this into a series per se, but I do want to turn this into a thing. Basically, as you probably read down in the title below, this video is gonna be how to memorize a script, or tips to memorize a script, something to that effect. I haven't named it yet, but it's gonna be something to that effect, how to memorize a script or monologue or whatever. So yeah, this is just basically going to be a few tips, quick tips on how to memorize scripts or monologues, and what I normally use, stuff I normally use for the most part. And yeah, so let's get started. So tip number 1. So my first tip is basically to read the script or monologue multiple times. Basically, read it multiple times, get a general idea as to what you're supposed to be doing in the script or monologue. Okay, and normally some of the things I look for when I'm memorizing a script or monologue is you obviously want to know what character you'll be playing. Okay, what character you'll be playing. Are you gonna be doing something like Shakespeare, like Iago, that Cassio loves her and I do well believe it, or something, like my previous video building, where I'm just talking about fucking porn stars and cocaine. Okay, it's like, which one are you gonna go for? A douchebag, a jock. What are you gonna look for? What type of character are you gonna portray? Who are you gonna be portraying? And as we're doing that, also as we're reading the script, as we're reading the monologue, you also want to know what are your motivations for saying what you're saying. What are your motivations? For example, and Iago, Othello, a monologue I did for Iago, that Cassio loves her and I do well believe it. He's jealous of Cassio, the fact that he could get Desdemona. He's jealous of that, and he really does like Desdemona himself. Iago really does like Desdemona himself, and he sees a threat in Cassio. However, although he sees potential in it, he doesn't really think it's gonna last that much. And if it does happen to last for whatever reason, he has his own ways to arrange it. Whereas the monologue I did for building, he's a millionaire or billionaire. He has a lot of money. Fuck it, he has a lot of money, and he's about to fight this elephant. And although he doesn't think he's gonna die, on the off chance he just does happen to die, he wants to leave his money with someone. That someone being any prostitute he could get at the last minute. Is Akira Dillian Harper, whoever I named at the end of that video. So yeah, so get your motivations. Get the characters who'll be playing, and yeah, just get a general idea of who you'll be playing. And that's really the best part I could do. Read it over and over again and again as you're reading that. See what think of the type of character you'll be playing and the motivations for what you're saying. So yeah, now on to tip number 2. Now, this is something I often do a lot, so yeah, for this next tip, and normally it works out better with comedic monologues, in my opinion. I've done it with dramatic monologues, but it does work out better with comedic monologues. And this is normally, after you've read it many times, you already have a general idea as to what you're gonna say. So basically, after you get a general idea of what you're gonna say, and after you know some of your lines, you don't have to memorize. At this point, you don't have to memorize the whole thing. You just have to know some of the lines. And basically, the tip is, after you get an idea of what you're gonna say, even if you haven't memorized the lines yet, play around with them. Okay, think of stuff that your character would say. For example, in my building monologue, I improvised a lot. The stuff with the porn stars, that was added. The part where I said, pussy-looking ears to the elephant, that was improvised on the spot. So kind of play around with the monologue. If you think there's a line that should be added because you know that's what your character's gonna say, definitely add it. If you think that there's a line that would it make sense? For example, let's say in the middle of Castle Loves Her, that Castle Loves Her, and I do believe it. 'Tis happened of great credit, but thy TV is of great constant nature. For thou, Desdemona, makes a love to her, or some shit like that. Like, that does not fit in a Shakespeare monologue. Take that shit out. If you think, if you think there's a line that doesn't fit, take it out as well. Okay. Now, another thing that kind of goes hand in hand with this is improvise. Just improvise. Like I said, again, it works good with building. Works well with comedic monologues. And again, this kind of goes with adding and deleting stuff. You kind of have to improvise with it to kind of get an idea as to what you're gonna do. Again, I added the pussy-looking ears to it. That wasn't in the original script. I added that into it to make it more of my own. So see what you can add, see what you can bring, in lines, okay? I'm not talking about personality yet, but see what you can add to it, like line-wise. Is there maybe, even if it's just like a pause, or if it's like a word, add it, or delete it, for sure. Because if you know that's what your character is going to do or say, that's what your character is going to do or say. Now, onto tip number 3. Now, very fast, before I actually get on to the third tip, something I forgot to mention in the previous, for tip number 2, the script, if you're going to go to a director, and if they actually do cast you, for example, and you're going to add your own lines, do at least ask the director, hey, can I delete this line, or can I add this line, because that's how I feel my character should be portrayed. So yeah, I don't want my character to say this, but I want him to say that. Does work out. So yeah, I kind of forgot that. And if your director says no, you can't change the script, just go with it and just learn it as is. Forgot to say it. Sorry, I forgot to say that, but yeah. Now, onto tip number 3. Now, onto tip number 3. Okay, so this is when you're actually going to memorize your lines, and that is say your lines separately. Say separate lines little by little. So first off, I'm going to use Casio because that's the one I most know. So let's start off with this. That Casio loves her. So, that Casio loves her, that Casio loves her, that Casio loves her, that Casio loves her. Now, until you memorize it. So now the next one is, I do well believe it. So, I do well believe it, I do well believe it, I do well believe it, I do well believe it. And afterwards, after you've memorized both lines, you kind of combine them. That Casio loves her, and I do well believe it. That Casio loves her, and I do well believe it. Now, something that, not me personally, but I do know many people use this to memorize it. They sometimes say it in a different accent or in a different emotion. And although you do need to add emotion into your monologue, so for example, that Casio loves her and I do well believe it, it'll be like, that Casio loves her and I do well believe it. 'Tis apt and of great credit, the more howbeit that I endure him not as of constant loving noble nature. Okay, you see, that's the emotion. So you do want to add emotion, but try messing around with emotions. Try doing it in other emotions. So instead, be like, that Casio loves her and I do well believe it. Still sad and of great credit, the more howbeit that I endure him not as of constant loving noble nature. So yeah, do it like in a different emotion, or even a different accent, like that Casio loves her and I do well believe it. 'Tis happened of great credit, the more howbeit that I endure him not. That's probably not a good accent, but see, kind of mess around with it, try to memorize it, do it in accents, or emotions. And I've even heard people do this, which I don't see why, but I could kind of understand. But even sing it, okay? Try singing it. Again, normally, aside from the emotion part, I tend not to mess around with accents, or I've never even sung it. I've never even heard of that, so like just recently. But do try, whatever fits for you, whatever helps you memorize it. That Casio loves her, and I do well believe it. 'Tis I don't know of great credit that. What was it like? Was that the Christmas Carol song? Dun 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 dun. Yeah, that was that song. Yeah. So yeah, I mean of course say your separate lines, and just see what helps you memorize it. If it's switching the accents a bit, and say it in different accents. Like for example, one should be British, the other one should be New Jersey, and the other one should be a Southern accent. Okay, or emotions. Do happy, angry, sad. Or sing it. I don't know. Sing it like, I don't know, Megadeth, Beyonce, and Justin Bieber. Who knows? Whatever toots your horn. So, yeah. And eventually you do want to, as I said before, you do want to add the lines. Add the lines to memorize the whole scene. So yeah, and after a while, after you've memorized your whole monologue or even your whole scene or script, if it is script, by the end you should more or less know how to block it. And basically, if you don't know what blocking is, it's basically how you're gonna move. So for example, that Cassio loves her, and I do well believe it. 'Tis apt and of great credit. The more howbeit that I endure him not. I mean, normally blocking also is more body movement. I know you're only seeing the chest up, but it's also how you move your arms, your legs, and all that. But you should also know how to. You should also think of how you're gonna block this as you're reading it. So yeah, it does help out a lot. So yeah, now onto tip number 4. Now this next tip is more when you're doing a script, which for those who don't know what a script is for whatever reason, it's a conversation between two or more people, and this only works out with the script. But if you're doing a script, memorize most of your partner's lines, even if it's just one word. So then you more or less know when to stop. Okay, so let's say, and this is gonna be a really basic script right here, but let's say you have 3 lines and your partner has 2 lines. Okay, and so let's say it's something like this. Hi. Hello, how are you? I'm good. I'm glad you're good. What are you doing? I'm eating pizza. If it's something even like that, you have to memorize your partner's lines to a certain extent to see how you're gonna react to how you're gonna react to their quote, and see when you're gonna respond. Okay, so yeah, I mean, also it just helps with the overall situation. It tells you when to go, how to react to the lines, and again, it just helps with the overall situation because let's say it's a really tense scene. Having your partner there saying the lines, does give you that emphasis. Oh shit, this is a really tense scene. If it's a really happy scene, like yay, this is a really happy scene. If it's a really sad scene, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. I'm really sad. It brings out that situation if your partner is there helping you with the lines, memorize the lines, and that also does help you memorize the lines in it of itself. So yeah, now on to step number 5. Now this one is really obvious, but I'm surprised how many people actually forget to do it, and that is practice. Simply just practice. Something I tend to do a lot is repetition, and basically, that's thinking of your script or saying your script out loud. How you think you're gonna say it. But one thing I really like to do is when it gets into my head just randomly. Let's say at one moment I'm thinking about pizza, next moment I'm thinking about The Walking Dead, and the next moment I'm thinking about that Cassio loves and I do well believe it. 'Tis apt and of great credit. Just roll with it. Just roll with it. Just keep your thoughts, and you don't have to act out the emotions per se. But as long as you still remember the lines, that's all that it is. You can say it out loud. You can say it in your head. It doesn't matter, and it really does help. I'm not gonna lie. It actually does help. And let's say it's a script with your partners. Just think of it without your partner lines. Just have that pause in the middle. So, hello. I'm good. How are you? I'm here eating pizza. So yeah, I mean, it does help. I really do like it, and it's a pretty fun tip, and it kind of keeps you on your feet because you never know when you're actually gonna be. You never know when someone's gonna ask you to do a monologue, and I know that may seem pretty random, but let's say you go to an audition and they want you to do a monologue, another one aside from the one you already did. You already have a few monologues who kind of just present at that moment on the fly. So it really does help. Now the next tip, which is tip number 6. So tip number 6, it's gonna be record yourself doing the scene or monologue, whatever you're gonna do, and it helps you know where you can improve. So let's say you're doing it really choppy, like for example, that Casu loves her. I do well believe it. 'Tis apt and of great credit, and more howbeit that I endure him out. If you're really choppy, if you really don't know your lines, you can see where you're gonna improve, and it also helps you memorize. So as you're hearing it, you're memorizing your lines faster, and it really does help. And it's kind of like a song. You know how when you get a song stuck in your head, you memorize the lines, you memorize the tune. It's kind of like that, 'cause since it's recorded, you listen to it a lot, it's gonna help you memorize it faster, which actually does. I haven't done this tip that much, but with the few times I have done it, I have seen it help me. So yeah, it is helpful. For me personally, it isn't that helpful, but the few times I have used it, it still has helped me to a certain degree. But mostly I use this tip to see where I can not improvise, where I can improve upon myself. If I'm really choppy, I could, I notice, oh, I'm really choppy there. I have to improve this. If I forgot a line, I forgot a line there. I better remember to put that line there. So it does help. For me, it's more on the improvement part. Some people, again, it does help them memorize, but for me, it's more on the improvement part. I see where I can improve, and yeah, it does really help me for that. So yeah, do record yourself. It could be a video or just a voice recording. Either one helps. And yeah, now on to tip number 7. Now for tip number 7, I'm basically going to say is add personality to it. And I kind of touched based on this a bit on tip number 3 when I said the stuff about emotion. And this is where you can add emotion. This is where you can add your personality. So if you know you're going to do your character in a certain way, do it that certain way. Very simple way to do a character. Many people ask themselves when they're going to portray the character is, am I going to play him or her gay or straight? How am I going to portray this character? That's a really easy way. How you're going to portray it. That adds a personality. If you're going to portray the character gay, portray him gay, and think of what traits you could give him. Give him or her, for that character, if you're going to portray him straight, what characteristics are going to portray him. And again, this is where you kind of add emotion. You add where you think you're going to pause, where you think what you think you're going to do. And yeah, it's basically where you can add a bit of your flair into, where you can add a bit of your personality, and that's basically the best part of seeing a character come to life, seeing what you can give to the character. And the best thing you can give to a character is personality. I mean, what would you rather see? Someone who's really happy. I mean, if the character's supposed to be really happy, would you rather see someone who's really happy, really out there, really fun, or someone who's like, yeah, let's go with that? Or would you rather see someone who's like, oh my gosh, can't wait to do that. Let's do it right now, right now. I want to go do an adventure. Which one would you rather go with? I'd go for the second one because he seems more fun. So, yeah. Now to tip number 8. I forgot how to do the fingers. That's 8, right? Yeah, 8. Tip number 8. Now. And tip number 8, it's going to be give yourself time to memorize it. What does that mean? Don't memorize a monologue or a script at the last minute. Let's say you need a monologue or script for an audition that's happening tomorrow. Don't memorize it at 12 o'clock. No. Okay? Study for a test at 12 o'clock. Who cares? But, memorizing lines for a monologue or a script, that should be something you should know days in advance. Maybe, review over the script on the last day, sure. But you should know all your lines, if not 99% of your lines, by the time you have to do them. So give yourself time to memorize the lines. Don't try to memorize your lines at the last minute. It's not going to work out. It's just going to look sloppy, unprofessional, and disgusting at the end. Yeah, that's the perfect word. Disgusting. I mean, there's nothing more in the acting world. There's nothing more disgusting than someone who doesn't know how to memorize their lines on time, and it's just disgusting. So, I mean, I know that's a harsh word, but it's disgusting. So, yeah, it's disgusting. Memorize your lines on time. So that is it for this first video for tips on how to act, in this case, memorizing a script or a monologue. So yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Should I do more videos on this? I really would like to, stuff like what to do at an audition, what not to do at an audition, how to impress casting directors, etc. I would like to do this from time to time. I'm not going to stay here and sit here and say that this is going to be a weekly thing or, or whatever, a weekend thing or whatever. But this would be fun to do from time to time. So, what are your thoughts on it? Are there any ways I can improve upon this? I mean, again, this is the first time I've ever attempted this. I'm pretty sure I can improve upon it, make this a bit more tight. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, this is for memorizing a script. And do you guys have any other tips on how to memorize a script or monologue? Comment all that down below. Let me know. Of course, like the video, share on Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, or whatever you guys prefer. And yeah, subscribe. Comment down below any tips you guys may have memorizing a script or monologue. And yeah, hopefully this helps you out in your auditions. It sure helps me out, or even doing a movie or whatever. Hopefully it helps you out, for a movie or a play or whatever. Hopefully it helps you out. These tips for sure help me out. If you have any other tips that may help anybody else out, do comment them down below. I would like to hear them. It would be interesting. And yeah, that's basically it for now. Subscribe. I'll come back with a monologue or tip video very soon. And hopefully you guys enjoy the tips. And again, also comment down below, should I do more videos like this? More tip videos? Who knows? Maybe I'll continue, or maybe this will be the only one. Who knows? So yeah, that's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.